Now that you've seen all the pieces of equipment I keep on board the RV, I want to show you a few more skills to really make the most of your cooking at home and on the road. The number one thing that ruins your meal and ruins your adventure is hurting yourself. And it's absolutely possible to cut yourself, to burn yourself, to injure yourself with some of the tools that we bring into the kitchen. So let's talk about how not to do that. Some of the most intimidating tools in the kitchen are knives, but they also are some of the most important, and knowing how to use them makes it really easy to use them properly. As you just learned, I keep 3 different knives on board, and they're all used for very specific purposes. This little guy is used for small tasks. I don't have to worry about him being too terribly dangerous. This particular point stays down. I'm never flinging it around, and I'm using it directly over my cutting surface. And then I'm laying it in a place where I can find it so it doesn't get misplaced in other places of the RV. The serrated knife is used for cutting bread and also used for tender vegetables like tomatoes or peaches, something where I don't want to tear the skin. I don't have to worry about holding this guy too carefully because he has a pretty short little handle here, and I'm not using him to cut through hard things that are going to make my knife slip. But when I get to the chef's knife, this little shorty guy, I need to be much more careful and much more mindful about the way that I'm holding the knife and the way that I'm using it, specifically to cut vegetables and other hard items while I'm inside a small space. First thing is we always want to use a cutting board when we're going to cut something, whether it's a small item with one of the small knives or a larger item with one of these chef's knives. Holding the knife properly is the best way to keep yourself safe and to keep your fingers intact if you're using a knife. Rather than grabbing hold of the entire knife with your whole hand, we want to kind of lay it in your palm and pinch the blade between your thumb and your forefinger. Then you're going to wrap your remaining fingers around the handle of the knife. This is a super controllable grip that now allows me to use my arm leverage to cut whatever it is I'm cutting into, instead of allowing the knife to kind of unwieldy cut all over the place. So here I've got a nice little bunch of herbs. I'm going to take my chef's knife, I'm going to pinch it between my first finger and my thumb, wrap my remaining fingers around the handle, and then use my second hand in a claw shape to protect my fingertips from the knife that's going to slice down on the herbs. As I start to slice, I'm going to take my knife and push it up against my knuckles, again to basically guide the knife into place, but also to ensure that I'm cutting steadily and to provide a little bit of consistency with my cuts. One other important piece of keeping yourself safe in your kitchen is moderating the heat of your cooking surface. There's a variety of reasons for this, but the first is that it prevents any type of accidents from happening with the cooking surface or even an open flame inside of your RV and even in your home. The last reason to pay attention to the heat is that no recipe can tell you exactly what's happening in your pot or pan. You have to use your own intuition. So using your senses, such as your sense of smell, your sense of sight, the sounds going on while you're cooking, are really important for making sure that the heat is at the right temperature and not burning your food or undercooking it or even completely obliterating it. These are really important concrete skills for you to use, whether you're cooking at home or in your RV. There's one other tool I really would like you to have, and that's knowing how to use all of the flavors that we can perceive, all 6 flavors in your kitchen.